So hello, my friends. It's been a little while since I've had a chance to do a postscript insight here, and I wanted to bring you up to date on a couple of things. I've been traveling a bit. Drove down to Florida to Martin Armstrong's annual conference, which is always provocative and wonderful people down there, friends. I think I've been down there 5 years in a row now, and so you meet a bunch of folks that you really look forward to seeing and have delightful conversations. And then took a little family week vacation and went to Portugal. Had a marvelous time in Lisbon and hadn't really spent any time there in the past, and found the country and the area around there is to be really fabulous. It was really fun. And so now we're back in the saddle and headed in toward Christmas time. And this is the 5th of December, I think it is. And we're going to uh, be around for another couple of weeks and then go away for Christmas time with the family again for a couple of days and then back again. But in this process, let me bring you up to date on a couple of things. The Martin Armstrong's World Economic Conference, which is always provocative. This is a meeting where there's only and essentially there's only one program, and that's Martin Armstrong, and he just stands up there and talks all day long, and so and so it's really quite interesting, and he does really big picture things, and then finally winnows it down and just starts doing with some granularity about all the different kind of markets. Most of the room is full of investors of one sort or another, traders and those kinds of guys. And but there are a few of us that come in there for the bigger picture and the kind of the trends rather than just how to make money. The interesting thing about what Marty had to say this time was he kind of doubled down on the whole idea that the United States was going to come apart in 2027. As a matter of fact, he gave a good bit of time on Sunday morning to the different kind of failure kind of strategy or paths that would come to the United States, or what his computer information is telling him. And on top of that, then he confirmed that in 2027 and 2028 are going to be, 2027 in particular, are going to be an extraordinary year, because there are all kinds of convergence of different kinds of things, not least of which is that the world financial system hits the wall, and there's just no way out of it. The debt is so high that it's impossible to deal with. I mean, already almost 50% of the revenue that's generated by the IRS in the United States just goes to paying interest on $35 trillion worth of debt that we have outstanding. I mean, we pay $1 billion a day or some crazy thing, just in interest. And so there's a place out there where it's just impossible in any way to kind of deal with this, and then the system all comes down, and the powers that be, that are deep state, if you will, they understand this very clearly, and it is the motivating force, the activating force behind all of these big efforts that are underway on the planet right now to make big change, not least of which is this notion of a reset that comes out of the World Economic Forum, this broad-based kind of reset that is trying to change not only the economic and financial system, but also who human beings are. From Marty's point of view, which is I think he was novel and unique in his being the first to kind of think of it and see it this way. is that all of this reset activity and narrative is all being driven by this debt overhang, this whole extraordinary debt crisis, and where they see this looming crash of the whole system. And so, what they're trying to do is eliminate the debt. And the way that you can eliminate, one way that you can eliminate debt is that you can kind of collapse the whole financial system, the currency system, and reboot the whole thing and uh, generate and start over with some new currency. Now, this is not novel. This has happened multiple times, I think, since the First World War or so. In Germany, for instance, they've had 4 different kinds of currency, and each time the previous currency gets devalued rather significantly. And so what you end up with is, I don't know, a nickel or a dime on a dollar compared to what you used to have. Uh, so this process is not novel. And, uh, and, but you need an argument. You need some reason to do this. You can't just show up someday and just shut down all of the banks and expect all all the citizens to just hang around and wait for what new thing is going to happen. They're going to go nuts, and you're going to have huge disruption. And so they need an event to justify this reset. And that event is a global civil war, or a global World War III, essentially. And so there is a very, very active effort to try to get World War III going, in particular before Trump gets into office, and so that he's saddled with this thing and he's got to deal with it. And if they're not successful in getting this World War III going, then what you've got is a direct line to kind of global revolution, which is what the global civil war kind of process between 2025 and 2027 is about. And that kind of presumes that there is some event or a series of events that are the catalysts that kick off this deep-seated uh, dissatisfaction with the present government. The remote viewers talk about it in terms of feeling betrayed, that there's a deep sense of betrayal in by people of the government. They say that we gave you our money and we trusted you and you've screwed us, essentially. And so that's what's brewing here, an attempt to do this, get this war going, serious. And this is not geopolitics. This is large scale global financial kind of issues that are driving this. And that's very few people understand that. I mean, I heard Tucker Carlson a couple of days ago, a delightful, interesting kind of interview. And they were lamenting and searching and saying, why would they do this? It doesn't make any sense. And so on. Well, it does make sense if you understand the larger kind of context and what's at play here. That they literally have the potential of the whole thing collapsing down around your ears. And if that happens, then the people who are responsible for that are just free game, and a lot of people will be chasing them in one way or another, legally and otherwise, maybe. And they're working really hard to try to keep the game going, so that they don't become the kind of the targets or the victims of the whole process that they have supported. So there's a window here. This is an interesting and important kind of point, and that is that you're essentially looking at a year, 2 at the most, or something like that, to where there's huge kind of forces that are attempting to capture and reset and redirect the system into a new direction. And it's a new direction that is built around control, advanced control, elimination of privacy, and a great deal of insertion of technology into every aspect of your life, and the ability to essentially decide who, what you are, literally who, where you, what you think, where you go, how you spend your money, and so on. And if you don't do what they want you to do, then they can shut any and all parts of that down. I mean, this is it. Uh, it's happening, and there's a very interesting. I'm feeling a very significant and very palatable sense of urgency about this. And that we have got to be able to start to plow some new ground in a new direction. And what that means is that we have got to begin to build a model for what a new world is. Otherwise, the amount of money and the amount of time and the technology and computers and other kind of stuff that and AI is all pointed toward controlling, capturing, and controlling humanity on this planet and making it subservient to the technocrats, who a small number of people who will control it all and essentially utilize us, utilize humans as kind of the energetic source for whatever they're interested in doing. That there's a place, and it's not far away, where it becomes impossible to kind of extract yourself from that. If you get central bank digital currencies, Marty Armstrong thinks the Federal Reserve will not ever do central bank digital currencies because they would, private banks would be impossible to access the data behind the CBDCs if they, because of constitutional issues. I don't know, they've got ways to get around that, I suppose. But in any case, there are an extraordinary number of things. We're going to talk about this, by the way. I'm going to do the transition talk here in January on the 18th and try to bring all of this together and be able to kind of crystallize the kind of the imperative that we need to do and where we need to go and how we got to get with this, and because we don't have much time. There's a window of 2 years probably at the most, where if we don't start to make a significant kind of change in direction and a tangible kind of alternative to the status quo, then all of the efforts and the funding and the narrative control and everything else that is a part of this ongoing here will certainly carry the day, and you kind of get swept downstream even if you didn't want to be. And so this is a very interesting point. I mean, time. And in the transition talk I did back a number of months ago, I talked about the Pleiadians and how that they, in Barbara Marciniak's books, talk about the fact that they are coming back from here to the present from the future, sometime in the far future. And they say that something really great and catastrophic, universal, across the whole universe is about to happen out there. And they have come back to try to find the nexus, the point in the past where this decision was made that drove reality and humanity down this, what turned out to be this technocratic track. And they came up and find out that it's now, and that we are the group that has to make this decision one way or another. And they're trying to influence and encourage us to make the right decision rather than the wrong decision. It gets kind of strange and ooh, and certainly it's not mainstream science, but it's interesting that I've now found other sources that are alluding specifically to the same thing from other points of view. Earlier, written back in 2012 now, that are talking about the same thing, that there's some big universal technological takeover that's happening, that happens way downstream. And it all is because we capitulated, and we did not stand up and start an alternative track. And so that's the imperative here that's in play. And we're going to talk about that on the 18th of January. And so I hope that you can come to Berkeley Springs and be a part of that, or tune in on the live stream, because this is really, really deeply important and extraordinarily timely. And this is a call to action. We all need to, those of us who are like-minded and see this the way that it's emerging, and the alternative to the status quo, just really need to get engaged. This is not you can't play this game and passively and hope everything works out all right. You need to be engaged. And so we're going to talk about that. And you can see from Martin Armstrong's things, this kind of, and a number of other kind of sources, substantial, this kind of convergence of trends and deep kind of driving forces that are trying to just take this away and make it so that it's impossible to extract yourself from the system. And so we're going to talk about that, and then some of the other kind of sources and the other things that are coming up that are impressing me, that there is a way through all of this. I mean, essentially the solution is the kind of things that we've been chasing at the Arlington Institute for decades now, and that is this: how do you do a transition to a new world? How do you build a model for a new world? What is an alternative to the way things are going now? I don't believe for a moment that you can fix the existing system. There are a lot of very well-meaning folks who are trying to, whether it's in politics or environment or healthcare or whatever it turns out to be, or who are working very hard to try to change the present system. And I'm just of the opinion that they're all systemically and fundamentally flawed, and that we've been given the world that we live in and the problems of the world that we live in because of the underlying concepts and the ideas and values. The economy is an obvious example of that, and these institutions, if you will, and the processes that we've all been indoctrinated with from our youth are the problem, essentially, because they have given us the situation that we're in. And so this change that we're confronted with, and the option that we have, is really deep and profound. It's far, far more than kind of a new economic stuff, new financial system, or capturing AI for our advantage, which I'm involved in because I think it's really important. But this is really much bigger than that, and it's about literally you become a new human when you extract yourself from all of the constraints that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years and have become very sophisticated. And now with all the digital stuff that we've got are becoming so invasive that again that they're becoming increasingly hard to extract yourself from. And so the solution is to build a new model and get a whole lot of people trained around these new ideas, because that then has an energy and an imperative and a manifestation kind of function of its own that is very, very powerful and provides the direction to extract ourselves from kind of this dystopian track that is being presented to us here. And so that's what we're trying to do. And we're going to, at our transition talks, I'm going to do a half an hour, regardless of who the presenter is. We will do a half an hour kind of update. We're calling it an update to where I kind of bring everybody together and some ideas about what's up and what's different and what's new. At the same time, we're doing a lot of things. Many of you are familiar that we're building a very interesting community here in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, our little resort town. We're just 100 miles from Washington and Baltimore in the Appalachian Mountains. And we've got, I don't know, 3 people bought homes, moved here in the last 4 or 5 months. We've got, I don't know, 15 people in the last couple or 3 years. So we've got a growing kind of community built around a whole set of kind of functions and ideas about preparation and being independent and having food security. We've got a community garden with about a dozen people working on it, and very beautiful, very productive garden that we're kind of raising to the new level for next year. And there are just a whole lot of different aspects of how you get prepared for all of this, not least, and it all revolves around community. About you can't do it by yourself, and so what you need to do is get a bunch of like-minded people. And so that's one of the things that we're very involved in. We're also interested in that kind of basic idea writ large. We're trying to get our transition net program reestablished. I've spent a whole lot of money with 3 different attempts to try to get programmers. That's back before the AI kind of revolution. And it was conventional programming, and that didn't work for a variety of reasons, primarily kind of personal kind of issues. And now with AI and the ability to do computer programming and coding, you can, if you know what you're doing and you know the questions to ask, they're called prompts, and there's a whole new discipline, a profession called prompt engineering, and we're looking for a prompt engineer who really understands how to ask the questions and how the system works. But you can produce computer code 100 times faster and more efficiently and cheaper than conventional and what it's been in the past. People like IBM reportedly eliminated almost 70% of their computer coders because they can do this all with AI now so much faster. Well, we can do that as well if we can find the right person and to help us. And that would allow us to build an amazing kind of global community, because TransitionNet is about a global collaborative platform that many people all over the world can get together and actively contribute in a very curated and sophisticated way toward a new model of a new world. And so it's like a big community that's all working toward this new world. And so that's important to us. And we're really looking to try to find somebody who can help us with that. And there's a variety of other kind of programs. We had a big preparation day here in our county, Morgan County, West Virginia, and had almost 400 people that signed up, which is huge for our little county. And we gave away handheld radios, emergency radios, to almost 150 different families. And what we are essentially is putting in place a whole network, a very active and sophisticated communications network, and set of processes for what you do in terms of when other systems don't work. Where do you go if you need help? We have rally points around the county where you can go to. So if nothing else is working and you need, food or help in one way or another. And so we're trying to approach this in a very kind of multifaceted and kind of thoughtful way. And so there's a variety of things that we're doing here at the Arlington Institute and that we're playing a part of, not only in terms of the global picture, but also locally. And we're excited about the possibilities that are coming downstream and the wonderful new folks that are becoming a part of this effort. And I mention that in part because this is a time at the end of the year when a lot of people consider giving and supporting the institutions and the activities that they think are important and making a contribution to the world. And I'd encourage you to consider the Arlington Institute in that. We've always had very generous people throughout the year, throughout years in the past, who have given us, we got $5,000 one year from somebody, and other folks who see that what we're doing is really important and central and unique. I don't know if anybody else that does what we're trying to do. And so I hope you'll check, though. We'll put a link down below that you can check. And if you can help us financially and generously at this period of time, it helps a whole lot. I mean, many of you may not know that I take nothing out of this and haven't been paid for years and years. And so it's really kind of voluntary from my personal point of view, but we nevertheless have other wonderful people who are all associated with this that they got to eat and we have to pay them. And we, in some of these things like this transition, that project is going to cost money. And so, one of the other things that we're doing, by the way, that costs some money is we're digitizing our library and making it an input to the training of a new AI program that is not built around the concepts and the values of San Francisco, which is where most of the rest of them come out of the Bay Area there in Silicon Valley. And so what this AI program will do is have all kinds of things about kind of metaphysics and alternative health and preparation and any number of other new science, new ideas, new concepts about the future and scenarios. And we've already put thousands of books into this new capability, which will be free, by the way, to anybody, anywhere. It would be an alternative to Google, essentially, or any kind of a search engine that you've got, because you'll be able to search not only and get all the conventional information that you need, but it also sees the world through this lens of this new trend and this new direction, and there's this new possibilities in this new world. And that can be extraordinarily powerful as we go forward. And so we've had some very generous friends who have helped to fund that, parts of that. So we've got a person that's just scanning all the time, scanning these books as we get through this library. So we're going to have another, I don't know, 500, 600, 700 books that'll be in there. And to say nothing about all of the previous content that we've produced, either on video or PDF, we'll be able to use these as the training input for this new AI. And so we're doing some very interesting and helpful, useful, and important things here in our little effort in Berkeley Springs. And if you can support us and you'd be willing to do that and you want to be a part of this in any way, then plug in. We've got a way to do that. Just check the link below and come and help us and be a part of this. So I wish you again a very marvelous and warm and wonderful holiday season. This is always a delightful time of the year for those of us, at least in the Western world. And we look forward to the new world. There's extraordinary things. I mean, there's UFOs flying all over the place, and brand, yeah, increased numbers, and so what you see on the horizon is the emergence of the component parts of a new world, which just promises to be kind of mind-boggling and stranger, frankly, than what most of us have thought about. And that's what part of what I'm going to talk about in January on the 18th. So check in on transition talks and see if it can help us here at this time of giving, and have a marvelous time. We'll see you.